Hello, good morning, and welcome to a super special edition of the Intuitive Body and Soul. And as you know, Intuitive Body and Soul takes care of not only the spiritual part of who you are, but also the physical part of who you are. So today I have something super special for you. Because my family celebrates the Easter season, I do something, a kind of family tradition where I make chocolate covered Easter eggs. And enough people have asked me for the recipe and how do you do that, that I decided that we would make a special uh, video, especially for Intuitive Body and Soul viewers. Okay, so I actually have a printout of the recipe, okay, and I can actually email it to you or send it to you via snail mail if that's what you're into, certainly. And this recipe is a huge recipe, and you're going to find that it's more fun to do with a friend. And with my family is very family oriented, so where you will meet my niece a little bit later, she'll be coming in, perhaps my sister, and we even have a little bambino who will be in attendance, and she's an absolute doll. You'll absolutely love her. So you will definitely hear the sounds of family here. And without further ado, let me talk about these chocolate covered eggs, and I'll see if I can come up with a picture at some point. But for right now, I'm going to move you towards the table where you can see my peach tea. But again, this is a massive amount of eggs. They're about 4 inches in diameter, and I'm going to make coconut cream eggs and peanut butter eggs, which kind of taste like big peanut butter cups. Okay, and the coconut ones kind of taste like big mounds bars. All right, so some of the things that you'll need, all right, like I said, this makes a humongous batch of eggs. You actually need 9 pounds of confectionery sugar, 9 big pounds. Okay, so you need that. If you're making just coconut eggs, you need 5 pounds of coconut, sweetened flaked coconut. But we're only going to make half. We're going to do half coconut, half peanut butter. So I'm going to be using 2.5 pounds of coconut. Okay? You need 3 pounds of butter. Use real butter. Don't be cheapola. Don't do the margarine. Do butter. Okay. We need 1 pound, 1 gallon of marshmallow fluff. And if you buy them in the 16-ounce containers, that means four. All right. So you use four of these. The other thing that you need is peanut butter. If you're making peanut butter eggs, you need to add the peanut butter. Okay, so add your favorite peanut butter. I like the smooth peanut butter. If you like yours chunky with nuts in it, buy chunky peanut butter. Okay, you need peanut butter. The other thing that you need probably is a smock because it's quite messy, and very large bowls. There's 2 bowls in here. Like I said, you'll meet my niece a little bit later, so she's going to help me do that. The other thing you need, and you food purists are not going to like this, is you need edible wax to put in the chocolate. Okay, we need 48 ounces of melted chocolate, all right? And so it will hold its shape. You need 10 ounces of edible wax. Right? So I have been using this Gulf wax, and you can find it in the store in the canning food section. All right. Because I always seem to run out of chocolate, the recipe calls for 48 ounces of chocolate. I put in 60 because most of it I end up I did my sister, Carol, block your ears. Most of it ends up on the stove. So I run out of chocolate. All right. So that's what you need for food. The other thing that you need are lots of trays, right? Because we're gonna set these eggs up once we form them on the trays, and I'm going to coat them with wax paper, okay? And what I do to save room in the fridge, what I've learned over the years, is I actually have these little plastic cups that I bought at the dollar store, and I put that on it so I can stack these in the fridge, all right, and fit more in because the eggs, each tray that you do has to go in the fridge for about a half an hour, and that actually, hardens the butter and makes the shape of the egg more firm. Okay, so Carol, you want to come and say hi? Carol doesn't want to come and say hi. Maybe after she gets her makeup on, so we'll get her on. Okay. All right. So for right now, I'm going to organize and I will get back to you soon, soon, soon. Okay. So a note about melting the chocolate, right? That ideally you could use a double boiler, but I'm actually in the habit of using just a saucepan. So I have put my my paraffin wax at the bottom, and I'm going to put this on the smallest burner that I have on the stove and put it on the lowest setting, and I'm going to let this melt very, very slowly. Okay, and as it's melting, we want to go ahead and add the chocolate chips. And as I say, the recipe calls for 48 ounces. We are absolutely going to use 60, right? So, okay, this is what it looks like. I'm going to go put it on the stove and I'm going to let it melt. And don't forget that it's there. Even if you have to set the timer because you want to use a wooden spoon and just kind of mix this. It'll melt very slowly, but and you don't want it to burn. Nothing tastes worse than burnt chocolate. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go do that. Okay, so I've started putting my ingredients in my bowl. And as you can see, it's a really big bowl. And that's only one of them. I'm using a pan for the other. One is going to be peanut butter eggs and one's going to be coconut cream eggs. Okay. And before we continue, and while I remember, if I haven't already told you, this recipe is supposed to make 100 eggs, right? And like I said, it's a lot of batter. So you could do half or you could quarter it. All right, and when it comes to the marshmallow in here, I use 4 of these, and it says 16 ounces. All right, so 232, so 64 ounces of fluff, or 4 of these. Okay, so I will double check what the recipe actually says, but that's what's going to go in there. All right, as far as the peanut butter goes, put as much in there as you like. I buy like this really big container from like BJ's and put it in there. And the peanut butter is wetter than coconut flakes. All right, so sometimes I'll put in the powdered peanut butter. Okay, I always put in extra confectionery sugar. So while half of 9 pounds would be 4.5 pounds of sugar, I actually put like 5 pounds in here and keep the 4.5 in the coconut. So there's going to be peanut butter, there's going to be coconut. Okay, so and our uh, paraffin wax is melting on the stove. Like I said, don't forget it. Go there and stir it with a wooden spoon. Okay, don't use a steel. Use a wooden spoon and melt it slowly. You do not want burnt chocolate. You will not be a happy camper with burnt chocolate. So I'm going to continue putting my ingredients in, and this I'm actually going to mix it with my hands. So make sure, obviously, you wash your hands really good, and obviously make sure you get all the soap out, okay? And dry your hands with a paper towel instead of a cloth so you don't get any fibers in the food. It's like mixing hamburger, but it's a big, huge batter. So using a dough hook or something like that is probably not feasible unless you're halving it or cubing it. That would be okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and continue on with that. Okay, and while I'm thinking about it, okay, I actually decorate the eggs, right? And I use just these cake mate tubes, and once the eggs are covered and the chocolate has dried a little bit on them, you can go ahead and decorate them. And again, I will definitely give you some pictures and show you how to do that. It's fun. Hello. And at this point, I want to introduce you to my niece. This is Kara. Say hi, Kara. Hello. And the baby's here too, but she's sleeping. Hopefully, you'll get to see a glimpse of her a little bit later. So for right now, we're kind of putting the ingredients in. And this is Kara's first time making these eggs with me. But like I said, it's always more fun when you have family and friends with you. Okay, so we're going to continue to, and we have almost all of our ingredients in. And like I said, make sure you wash your hands because it's nearly impossible to do this with anything else except your hands. Okay, so I'm going to halt us just for a second until we get everything in place. It'll be seamless, you'll see. Okay, we're going to begin to mix a little bit here and give you an idea. And again, make sure your hands are clean. So will you just start to mix? Because I won't be able to halt us. Look it. Too bad you can't see her face. She's like really excited about this. Yeah. And her face is turning red. Okay. So as you can see, it's a little bit messy, but it actually will go into a nice dough afterwards. Okay, so we're going to continue to mix. Okay, this is Miss Kara taking over my pot because she had pity on me. I looked like I was suffering. But you can see in the blue bowl, that's all peanut butter egg. And now she's mixing the dough for the coconut. Um, and after that's done, actually, we're going to roll them into egg shapes and put them on the wax paper long trays. And then put them in trays. Okay, so we're going to let Kara finish doing that, and then we'll show you what we're up to next. Okay, we are back, and our candy dough is ready. So foil line your trays, and then we're going to shape the eggs, put them on these trays, and then we're going to put them in the refrigerator. And you're going to leave that midsection free so that we can put the trays on top of each other. Okay. There's actually two trays in here. Right. Maybe it makes it a little bit easier. Right. So I'm actually going to shape one so that you know. And you can, obviously, the bigger you make the eggs, the less eggs you'll have. So even though the recipe says 100, you usually get 80. All right, so first in circle, like this. Okay, so they have like a snowball. And then do it like this. And that gives you kind of a cool egg shape. Right? And then put it on your foil. This one doesn't have foil. All right, and then once that is done, we're going to refrigerate these. And we're going to put peanut butter on, we're going to put all the peanut butter together and all the coconut together. Because after they're covered, you won't know which are which. So I color code them with dots. Now that's a big humongous egg. And let me just say that they're harder to dip if you make them quite that big. They're, well, yeah, maybe we'll figure it all out. And I want to show you my little baby. Little baby girl. Little baby girl. Where is she? Where is she? We see her. We see her. There she is. Say hi. Say hi. This is Carrie's Bambino and my grand niece. This is Willow. Say hi. Say hi. Say hi, everybody. She's actually waiting for cartoons to come on. She's an apple of our eyes. Little Dickens. Okay, so I'm going to give you back to the table so you can see what we're doing. And we're going to continue to make the eggs. All right, and before I stop this, I want to say it took about 20 minutes or so just to mix the dough, okay, because it gets really, really firm. Okay, so be patient. Okay, so now we just kind of want to show you what these eggs look like once they've been kind of formed, right? So we have these and the peanut butter ones, and we've already started putting them into the fridge. And you should let them sit into the fridge, I would say a good half hour or so. And if you don't have room for all of them, like you're making a whole recipe, put some in, and then while you're dipping the ones that you just took out of the fridge, you can put the next tray in. Okay, And now I'm going to unhook this a little bit here. We're going to run on battery power for just a few seconds so I can kind of show you what's going on with the chocolate. Okay, so we're at my sister's lovely house, and this is my lovely niece, Kara. And what I've done here is protected the stove with foil because the chocolate has a tendency to get all over the place. So while you can use a double boiler, it's probably even recommended. I've always just use the stove, but if you're going to do that, you're going to have to keep an eye on your chocolate, and you want to mix the chocolate until all the bumps are out of it. Because if there are bumps in it, that means that the chocolate has not all melted yet. Okay, so I put 60 ounces of, let me put you back in, 60 ounces of dark semi-sweet chocolate bits, right? So I know when all the chocolate is melted because then there aren't any little bumps in there, okay? And then I will bring you back and we'll show you how to dip. There are a lot of different utensils that you can use to dip your eggs, but I find the best way is to use a serving fork, and I dip the fork in the chocolate. Then I put the egg on the fork and scoop, put the chocolate on, and then put it back onto the tray. Okay, make sure you put all of like eggs together, because if you mix, in this case, the peanut butter and the coconut, once you put the chocolate on them, you're not going to know which is which. So when I dip these, I'm going to keep all of the coconut ones together. And then I'm going to use a little bit of the frosting tubes that I showed you. And on the coconut ones, I'm going to put white dots. On the peanut butter ones, I'm going to put yellow dots because I do that every single year. If you change them around from year to year, and you actually give them to people, give them a little piece of paper that says, the white dots of coconut, the yellow dots of peanut butter, or if you're doing fruit and nut or anything like that. So put down the codes for people so that they know what's inside your eggs. Okay. Okay, we're recording again, and I'm going to bring you over to here and tell you to keep stirring, keep your chocolate on extremely warm, okay? And usually I coat the fork, right? And then I put this on here and then just dip it in the chocolate, let the extra come off, okay? And I don't know if you can see over here. Okay, then I just kind of slide it on the tray. Okay, so that's what they look like. All right, and then after this tray is done, we'll go ahead and these are the coconut ones, so we'll put little white dots on them. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that and not make you sit through the whole ordeal. But so you can see that I have little yellow dots. And these are all peanut butter eggs. So as long as you dot them so that you know what they are ahead of time, it'll be golden. If you, in fact, have chocolate left over, which typically you do, I just put some butter in the dish, and then put the chocolate in there. Or if you have candy molds, now is a really good time to bring out the candy molds. And this is our baby girl. She's having fun. And no one is trying to feed her. What are you doing in there? What is it you're doing in there? We're going to teach her how to make eggs eventually. We need it to be a little bit older first. Okay, so this part is the eggs. Okay, and you see on the table, they're all covered. They have their little dots on them, so we know which are which. And then we're going to go ahead and do some decorating on them. But at this point, you might want to take a little break. We'll take a little break. So now, what time did we stop, Kara? Do you know? Has to be like 11. And what time is it now? 1:45. You know what? That's actually dynamite. These are some of our decorated eggs. Yeah, that's recording. Okay, that was Kellen's body. Beautiful. Beauteous, beauteous. So these actually will set relatively fast and they will be nice and fresh. Once the chocolate's on them and it stops the air from getting at them, they're actually pretty good for a couple of weeks. So you can give them out and do all that good stuff. Okay, so anyone who's interested, give me a call or send me an email. Okay, email is Jonissa, Joan as in Nancy, S as in Stephen A at Comcast.net, right? Or you can send me a text. Cell is 978-807-7608, and we will send the hard copy, or I'll email you a copy. Okay, so I want to say thank you to my niece. Thank you, Kara, and the little bambino who is. Oh, there she comes. Here she comes. Come this way. Come this way, Donna. Come in front. There she is. Look, the little baby girl. Yeah, she's the love of our life. So with that, for all our friends who celebrate Easter and all that good stuff, we wish you a wonderful holiday season. A happy cooking. Thank you. Bye-bye.